Шановні колеги,
Esteemed colleagues, esteemed journalists, we continue our working day. The topic of the next press briefing is website access to the truth, new opportunities to get access to public information. Our speakers are Oleh Rybachuk, head of the NGO Center UA, and Lisa Hanja, editor of the website Access to the Truth. Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Доброго дня ще раз.
Good afternoon again. Myself, as the founder and the head of NGO Center UA, the organization which is also called the Center of Common Actions, would like to remind you of the history briefly, why there has been a need, an idea of the law on access to information, and why we decided today to talk about the specific features of that law, and we would like to inform you on what has happened from the moment of when it was passed.
And this need was already in 2010, not just out of blue, not just from the top. The need of for this law was in the Supreme Council for more than 5 or 7 years. And during that time, there was Yanukovych, and this law couldn't get to Verkhovna Rada, and we decided what could be the most important topic of the year in 2010. We decided that this is the absence of European law on information, and we are at the center of coordination. We are the supporters of cooperation, and we initiated partnership of New Citizen, and we would think what could be the topic of the year, and it's a shame that Ukraine had a Soviet law that regulated the access to information, and when it chose such a topic, it could be very important that this topic is interesting to society and to different representatives of society. And for us, as representatives of Center UA, we had to explain to journalists why it is important to have a law that is relevant to our times. And we conducted work, a campaign of addressing this issue. And I'm not going to speak about the procedure. They all say that it is completely impossible, and we know that there were some reports by SBU and Yanukovych that this law wouldn't be and shouldn't be adopted, and this position was supported by Ministry of Justice, and Lyovochkin also confirmed that we shouldn't even dream about this law. And this was the position of the Party of Region in Parliament. So all the representatives of power said that there won't be any law like this, but the law got more than 400 votes in the parliament, and Yanukovych, during his second term, they told that this law is a progressive step, and that power is proud of this law. And you know that laws are adopted, and you know the situation of with the implementation. And when this law was adopted, we had several years to pass some other laws. And after this, after the regime of Yanukovych fell, in a year after this, when we had support from the Maidan of Dignity, people demanded this law. And I'm not surprised, because I know that in different countries, in the United States, not long ago, in 1960 something, they got to the understanding that they should open information for the public to get information that is not absolutely secret, and against the American establishment. And they posed some obstacles to this. And there was a long process of adopting this law. And when we told to Ukrainians that this law is needed, the law is adopted, but it can't get implemented just the other day. And this law, of course, provides the opportunity to help people to promote their values. And we came here to address that next week. We hope that this law will be adopted in the first reading, the law that will help to help make the access to information more effective. So in some laws that are already adopted, there are some discrepancies, and also old system tries to defend itself, and here in Ukraine, system tries to defend itself, and we see that public servants sometimes use general wordings for to their own benefit. That's why civil society activists and lawyers who worked on this draft law, the initiators of this law, are the best friends who are the participants of Maidan of Dignity, and Victoria Shumar, Mustafa Svetlana Zalishuk, and Sergei Lещенко. The draft law is well prepared, and it also envisages all those problems that can be found. And the other goal of this draft law, and this is very characteristic for Ukraine, that there should be responsibility, some body that has responsibility to provide implementation of this law. They said they should create some national commission, but they came to the conclusion that in Ukraine, that would be logical to give additional obligations and responsibilities to the ombudsman on human rights. And we believe that it's and they provide some responsibilities to ombudsman, and he will be able to observe and the implementation of this law. And we address media, journalists, civil society to support the law, and civil society activists plan to hold an event near Verkhovna Rada on the day when this law will be voted. it will happen next week, and we will going to speak about it. We are going to speak about it later. I have an honor to represent here not only resources that gives us access to the truth. Center UA is the initiator of this law, draft law, about the access to information and advocacy campaign. I represent the instrument that provides the opportunity for this law to be implemented. It is the access to the truth, and I think that there are many users of this internet resource. This is one of the most popular news resource. There are many issues like different activities, and you may see service that is very interesting, that provides some information on claims of citizens to the authorities, and we made a basis, and we have many offices, and there are different councils, and we went into details, and we hope to provide information and to be interested to people. You can find any civil servant that you need. You have special claim that you can just fill in, and then you can send this claim to some organization or body. This site was renewed, and this service provides opportunity to send requests and claims, and we get answers, and our users they can find answers there, and they can conduct their own investigations, and we want that these investigations were carried out by our active readers, because it is very important in this format to provide answers, because according to the law, our civil servants they send answers like PDF or some documents. They are sent in such a form that they are very difficult to search with the help of internet drivers. So the data should be provided in the format of open data to show people these stories, and we answer questions, we advise, provide advice if they received refusal, and there are interesting cases how people fought for their right for information, courts, how they were able to defend their right for information, and how they can communicate with the Ukrainian power, because this is the main idea, public control over power. And we are a platform where activists can share their experience and advise on the overcoming the obstacles. And this is the first step. We made it, and that format that we provide help to share the experience and to get together, and that's the main idea we wanted to share with you. Thank you. And now I have a question from Ukrainian Crisis Media Center. Lesia, I want you to provide some example. We say that management information, what is it? What information can be asked for, and is it anonymous? How can you ask something and not be persecuted for this. The law on public information provides for the person the opportunity not to sign the claim, not the full name. But for example, I can sign my claim just like Lesia. Someone can sign Oleg, and this name is enough in order that this claim work. And this is considered already a request. And information managers, these are organizations that are financed from the budget, for example, and regardless whether it is local or state budget, communal enterprises, they are also managers of information, and any communal service should provide you with information about repair works, for example, in your home, or for example, information why the hot water is absent, what is the reason, and when it will be. And thank you, colleagues. Do you have some questions you may ask? Anatoly, please tell me, next week, and when the, what will be the punishment for not providing the information? And what about the terms, and who is responsible for the realization of this request? All this is defined by law that exists now. The terms, 5 days. I recommend to register at our site and to provide a request, and you will receive a format. The answer will be formatted in such a way that is needed. But there are some public servants that do not provide information. And some bodies of local and state government, they provide a telephone number, but many do this. And as to the punishment, as of today, these responsibilities to belong to Ombudsman office. They create a protocol, and the civil servant is fined by 721 hryvnias. According to the new draft law, these documents of Ombudsman, they are binding, and the fines are more serious, even imprisonment. And what about Ombudsman? He reacts quite fast, but there are a lot of claims in the office, and it depends on the work of the office, their capabilities.
Saakashvili used to say they had a rule. If there is a request coming to them, a request to some civil servant, if this civil servant does not do it within a time frame, then automatically this person will be dismissed. We have the labor legislation in our country. If you initiate it, maybe we will support you. Any other questions? If not, the last one. We still have 2 minutes. Basically, maybe you can give the examples of which requests could be made, and didn't you think in the future to organize some information campaigns which would promote such services, like Ask Regional Administration Service? The problem is that even the journalists do not understand well how the resource is working. Thank you for the question. I can initiate the campaign, which we are ready to launch on Monday. It will be historical buildings campaign. We will show how, with the assistance of the request, how through the request you can learn about the house, who was the owner, what's the history of the house. Maybe that person applied for restoration of this building, or maybe that's reconstruction, which is almost demolishing the building and then restructuring a new building, which will have just the postal address, which will be the same as the address of the historic building. We started that investigation from one of the most beautiful buildings, building with snakes, Большая Житомирская 32. The Kiev authorities first replied they don't know who's the owner of the building, but our further requests and our activity resulted in us knowing who's the owner of the building, and he's been the owner for the last 5 years, and now he's trying to get the land, which is still in communal property, and the land actually saves this building from final demolishing. We believe that this project could be scaled up, and we hope that the activists who are interested in preserving their cities, because historical buildings, that's what makes our cities unique. That tells that our cities were not born yesterday or today, and our historic motherland is not Tроещина, but some other buildings. We had our own architecture, and we hope that such a network will be created of those who will be defending the cities, and we give them the instructions on how to work with information requests to learn who's the owner of the building and to learn what are the intentions of the owners. Our plans are quite ambitious, but we are just announcing that, and with the hope that we will be able to do that. And we would like this project to be not just within Kiev, but within Ukraine, because Ukraine is only one single Ukraine. So once you have no more questions, we hope that you will be heard by our journalists, by our active citizens. We'll finish on that, and our next briefing is in 5 minutes. Get ready.
Робити все.